Is crypto the future or the biggest financial trap ever created? It's a question that's got more angles than a dodecahedron sculpted entirely out of question marks. Look, we all love the idea of sticking it to the man, disrupting the system, and making a boatload of cash while we're at it. And crypto, with its promises of decentralization and riches, seems like the perfect getaway vehicle. But what if the system we're trying to disrupt is actually just building a new one on top of us? Over the next 10 minutes, we're diving headfirst into the complete dizzying, often nonsensical world of cryptocurrency to answer one question. Is this digital gold rush a golden opportunity, or just a big fat pixelated scam? It's a concept that's been touted as the ultimate solution to the problems of traditional finance. It's the idea that by taking power away from those nasty, controlling institutions like banks and governments, we can create a more transparent and fair financial ecosystem. And handing it to the people, we create a fairer, more equitable financial system. A system where everyone has a say and no single entity holds too much power. Except, and this is a big except, the reality of crypto looks a lot different. The dream of decentralization often clashes with the harsh realities of market dynamics. Because while Bitcoin brochures might show a bunch of smiling, multi-ethnic millennials holding hands around a glowing laptop, the actual scenario is far from this idealistic vision. The truth is far less kumbaya and far more, well, centralized. The power dynamics in the crypto world are not as dispersed as one might think. See, the crypto market, for all its talk of democratization, is dominated by a handful of powerful players, whales, who hold massive amounts of cryptocurrency and can sway the market with their significant holdings, and can manipulate the market with a single hefty fin twitch. Their actions can cause massive price swings, impacting millions of smaller investors. Then there are the centralized exchanges, the gatekeepers to this so-called decentralized world who control access, dictate the rules, and let's be honest, have a vested interest in keeping things just the way they are. They hold immense power over the flow of digital assets, who control access, dictate the rules, and let's be honest, have a vested interest in keeping things just the way they are. Their influence is undeniable and often goes unquestioned. And let's not forget about the influence of miners, particularly in the proof-of-work system, who have the power to validate transactions and influence the direction of entire blockchains. Their role is crucial and often centralized in regions with cheap electricity, who have the power to validate transactions and influence the direction of entire blockchains. This concentration of power can lead to significant control over the network. It's enough to make you wonder, is this really about empowering the people or just creating a new elite? The lines between decentralization and centralization blur more than we might like to admit. The truth is, the promise of true decentralization in crypto is about as elusive as a sober conversation at a Bitcoin conference, and it's a lofty ideal that often falls short in practice. It's a system that claims to be for the people, but is often controlled by a select few. The dream of decentralization remains just that, a dream overshadowed by the realities of power and control. Let's be honest, folks, a good chunk of the crypto world thrives on something far more intoxicating than any white paper hype. It's the lifeblood of the industry, the fuel that keeps the engine running. We're talking about a level of hype that could make a Kardashian blush, a frenzy that sweeps through social media like wildfire, a carefully constructed narrative of Lambos, moon landings, and life-changing wealth that's as seductive as it is, well, completely divorced from reality. It's a dream sold to the masses, a promise of untold riches, and celebrities, bless their cotton socks, have become masters of the crypto shilling game. They lend their star power to projects, making them seem more legitimate. From Matt Damon comparing investing in crypto to climbing Mount Everest, to Elon Musk single-handedly tanking the market with a tweet, their influence is undeniable. It's clear that in the world of crypto, celebrity endorsements hold more weight than actual financial advice. Their words can move markets for better or worse. And don't even get me started on the influencers, those self-proclaimed financial gurus with more followers than brain cells, peddling get-rich-quick schemes to their legions of unsuspecting fans. They create a sense of urgency and excitement, peddling get-rich-quick schemes to their legions of unsuspecting fans. They promise the moon and stars, but often deliver little more than empty wallets. This relentless hype creates a dangerous phenomenon known as FOMO, or the fear of missing out. It's a powerful motivator that can cloud judgment. It's that nagging feeling that everyone else is getting rich on some obscure meme coin while you're stuck with a sensible 401k, and a crippling fear of financial ruin. It's a feeling that can drive people to make rash decisions. FOMO drives people to make impulsive decisions, throwing their hard-earned money at anything with a catchy name and the promise of astronomical returns. It's a recipe for disaster. The truth is, the crypto space is littered with pump-and-dump schemes where insiders artificially inflate the price of a coin before selling off their holdings, leaving regular investors holding the bag. It's a harsh reality. So the next time you see your favorite celebrity hawking some new crypto project, remember they're probably getting paid handsomely to do so. It's all part of the hype machine. All right, folks, buckle up because we're about to enter the wild, wild west of crypto, where the only rules are, there are no rules, and if it sounds too good to be true, it definitely is. We're talking about a world where scams are rampant, hacks are commonplace, and rug pulls are as frequent as Starbucks pumpkin spice lattes in October. Let's start with the big kahuna of crypto collapses, FTX. This once mighty crypto exchange, led by the now infamous Sam Bankman-Fried, went from darling of the industry to bankrupt faster than you can say mismanaged customer funds. It was a spectacular fall from grace, fueled by hubris, a lack of oversight, and a whole lot of questionable accounting. And guess who got burned? That's right, the everyday investors who were promised the moon but ended up with a crater in their portfolio. But hey, FTX wasn't the first rodeo for crypto scams, and it certainly won't be the last. Remember OneCoin? This multi-billion-dollar Ponzi scheme, disguised as a legitimate cryptocurrency, defrauded investors worldwide. Or how about BitConnect, another classic example of a pyramid scheme dressed up in blockchain clothing? These scams preyed on people's hopes and dreams, exploiting their lack of knowledge about crypto to line their own pockets. The lack of regulation in the crypto space is a breeding ground for fraud. Now, amidst all the scams, the hype, and the general chaos of the crypto Wild West, there are those who genuinely believe in the technology's potential. These believers see beyond the noise and focus on the transformative power that blockchain technology promises. They argue that blockchain, the technology underpinning cryptocurrencies, has the power to revolutionize everything from finance to supply chain management. Imagine a world where financial transactions are instantaneous and transparent, or where the entire supply chain is traceable and secure. And you know what? They might be right. The potential applications of blockchain are vast and varied, and the technology could indeed bring about significant changes. But here's the thing, the potential of a technology and the reality of its current state are two very different things. While the future looks promising, the present is fraught with challenges and limitations. See, for all the talk of blockchain revolutionizing the world, the vast majority of cryptocurrencies have about as much real-world utility as a screen door on a submarine. They promise a lot but deliver very little in terms of practical, everyday use. Sure, you can use Bitcoin to buy a pizza if you can find a pizzeria that accepts it and are willing to wait an eternity for the transaction to go through. But beyond a few niche use cases, most cryptocurrencies are primarily used for one thing: speculation. The dream of a decentralized currency is often overshadowed by the reality of slow transaction times and high fees. Remember NFTs, those non-fungible tokens that were supposed to revolutionize digital ownership. They were hailed as the future of art and collectibles. People were shelling out millions for pixelated apes, digital doodles, and virtual real estate, convinced they were getting in on the ground floor of the next big thing. The frenzy was palpable, and the fear of missing out drove prices to astronomical heights. But the NFT bubble, like so many before it, eventually burst, leaving a trail of bewildered investors wondering what they had actually bought. The market corrected itself, and many were left holding assets that had plummeted in value. The truth is, most crypto projects are built on speculation, not utility. They thrive on hype and the promise of future gains rather than delivering tangible benefits today. So before you buy into the hype of the next big crypto project, ask yourself, does this have real-world utility, or is it just another speculative asset riding the wave of FOMO? It's crucial to differentiate between genuine innovation and mere speculation. All right, folks, let's talk about the elephant in the server farm, the environmental impact of cryptocurrency, because while those digital coins might seem clean and virtual, the reality is far dirtier. We're talking about a level of energy consumption that would make a Hummer blush. Enough to power entire countries and leave a carbon footprint the size of Godzilla's. See, the problem lies in the way many cryptocurrencies are created, specifically those that use a process called proof of work. This energy-intensive process involves countless computers around the world competing to solve complex mathematical problems, with the winner getting to add the next block to the blockchain and earn some sweet, sweet crypto rewards. It's like a global game of digital Sudoku, but instead of pencils and erasers, we're using enough electricity to power a small city. This massive energy consumption has real-world consequences. From increased greenhouse gas emissions to strained power grids, the environmental toll of crypto mining is becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. And it's often the most vulnerable communities, those in developing countries with lax environmental regulations, who bear the brunt of the damage. But the ethical concerns surrounding crypto extend beyond the environment. There's the issue of accessibility, with the vast majority of crypto wealth concentrated in the hands of a privileged few. Remember all that talk about crypto being decentralized, unregulated, and beyond the reach of governments? Well, it seems the powers that be didn't get the memo. Because around the world, governments are waking up to the wild west of crypto, and they're not exactly thrilled with what they see. From the halls of Congress to the gleaming towers of central banks, the message is clear. The days of crypto's regulatory free pass are numbered. Governments are increasingly concerned about the lack of oversight in the crypto space, the potential for fraud and manipulation, and the use of cryptocurrencies in illicit activities. And they're not just sitting on their hands, they're taking action. We're seeing a wave of regulations, from licensing requirements for crypto exchanges to stricter anti-money laundering rules. Tax authorities are coming after their cut of the crypto pie, and central banks are exploring the possibility of launching their own digital currencies, known as CBDs. These CBDCs would give governments greater control over the financial system, potentially challenging the very existence of decentralized cryptocurrencies. The battle lines are being drawn, folks, and it's shaping up to be a clash of titans, so buckle up because it's going to be a bumpy ride. So, after wading through the hype, the scams, and the environmental wreckage, where does that leave us? Is crypto the revolutionary force its proponents claim it to be, or is it just a digital house of cards waiting to collapse? Well, like most things in life, the answer is a bit more nuanced than a simple yes or no. Look, it's undeniable that blockchain technology, the backbone of cryptocurrency, has the potential to be transformative, but that potential is often overshadowed by the rampant speculation, the lack of regulation, and the outright fraud that plagues the crypto space. For every legitimate use case, there are a dozen more projects that are nothing more than get-rich-quick schemes designed to separate you from your hard-earned money. The truth is, the vast majority of people buying into crypto aren't doing so because they understand the intricacies of blockchain technology or believe in its potential to revolutionize the world. Well, they're doing it because they've been caught up in the hype, seduced by the promise of easy money and the fear of missing out. So what's the takeaway? Should you swear off crypto entirely and stick your money under your mattress? Not necessarily, but before you invest a single Satoshi, do your research, understand the risks, and be prepared to lose everything. So there you have it, the unregulated, volatile, occasionally incomprehensible world of crypto. Look, I'm not saying you shouldn't buy into it. I'm just saying if your financial advisor suggests putting all your savings into something called Doge Bonk on Mars, just because a 14-year-old on TikTok told them to maybe find a new financial advisor. The truth is, the future of finance might be digital, but whether crypto is the answer remains to be seen. It's a gamble, plain and simple. And like any good casino, the house always has an edge. So before you bet the farm on the promise of digital gold, remember, in the world of crypto, today's millionaire could be tomorrow's cautionary tale.